Why is it doing that?
I don't know what's doing what.
Okay, so it says on my clock on my laptop, it says 2:31.
It's wrong. It's
I
breaking.
know. How?
It's using too much processing power. The memory's almost full.
Is that what that means?
It can't even keep up with the time.
It doesn't know what it means.
That probably is what it means. Now it's running at a much slower pace, and it's not connecting to the global server that gives it the time, the correct time.
All right, so it's 2:38. Let me change that. Change. All right, and then I'll. Okay, fucking weird. Eastern Standard. That's where I'm at. All right, that was strange.
What was your topic this week? Autumn fixed the clock on her computer.
Woo! Fascinating.
Took 53 minutes. Yeah. I agreed to do this show. And do you know what's going on right now? Do you know what's happening at this very moment?
What?
The Buffalo Bills are in the playoffs playing a game. Third quarter.
Oh my God.
It's the third quarter. They're only winning 10-7. And you know what a huge Bills fan I am by proxy.
Oh, do you want to reschedule?
I have to do it later. I have to be a Bills fan. Because if not...
Are you trying to reschedule? Do you want to?
If not, and they lose, tomorrow's going to be a bad day on the show.
Oh.
That's
not true.
You better be rooting for the Bills.
He's been chill about that lately. Remember, he's taking a gummy. He's all right.
No, he says that all the time. A year ago, he said he was done watching.
I know. Nobody believed that.
It was already a year ago, though. He said he was done watching the Bills. Eric von Hessler, the world's largest Bills fan.
But then he immediately he was still watching. He just wasn't. He was like, well, he's like someone who stops drinking and is like, well, I'm only going to drink on Tuesdays. He's like, I'm only going to watch Red Zone. So why aren't you answering me?
I'll keep an eye on this game by listening to my Nate.
Can I ask a question and then you answer it?
They just scored 3 points. No, I don't want to fucking reschedule to watch.
Well, that's all. I don't care. You just have to answer the question if I ask it.
Buffalo Bills game.
God.
I know what's going on by listening to the neighbors below screaming and crying and whining and cheering.
Wow, this is fun so far. You're in a great mood.
I don't know. I can't tell you exactly what's going on, but when I hear the son crying downstairs, I know the
Even
Bills
when
aren't
I'm
doing
talking about you don't respond.
What do you want me to say?
I just acknowledge that I'm speaking and say the thing back to me at least. You're just going right over what I'm saying.
I was annoyed by the question as if I wanted to go watch the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I don't know what you want.
I think I want to watch a Bills game.
I don't know.
That I'd rather not record to watch a Bills game. Everyone has this idea.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're annoyed by the question. You should still answer it. I'm not annoying you. I didn't do anything. I'm being nice by asking, are you trying to go watch that game? I didn't know if it's actually important to you. Go ahead.
You should go talk to Christina. She asked me earlier today, are there any sports today you're watching? And I didn't answer the question.
Why?
Because there was no sports I wanted to watch.
But you just didn't answer her?
I was annoyed. People think I want to spend all day watching these sports. Just because I place bets sometimes on sports. And now it's this idea that people have that I'm a huge gambling addict. And
no one thinks that.
That's exactly what's going on.
Man, I thought you would come back from a trip feeling sort of rejuvenated. You had a nice time. Yeah. Cranky and weird, old man, angry.
That's what happens when you get up at 3 a.m. to drive back.
But that was yesterday you did that.
You don't get enough rest. What can I say? And also when you hang out and, well, never mind.
What?
Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. That is Autumn Fisher.
And that is Greg Russ. Wow, you weren't even going to let me do the extra part of the intro. Do you want to do this by yourself?
No, I don't want to do it by myself.
All right.
Jesus Christ, back off.
No, you back off.
Stop pressing me.
I'm not pressing you. I'm asking you to respond to me in like human people talking.
That's not what I do sometimes.
Well, that's not cool.
I think it's totally fine.
For you, it's not fine for me. It's not what a friend does to somebody.
If I wanted to watch the Bills game, I would have said, hey, I need to reschedule so I can watch this Bills game. I can't
What-
explain. I can't explain why it annoyed me that you asked. I didn't want to watch.
I'm not asking why. I'm not asking why it annoyed you. I'm asking for you to at least respond to what I've said. And it wasn't just about the Bills game. It was about like,
I think there's this idea that if I wanted to watch the Bills game, I'd say I'd need to reschedule to watch the Bills game. So to be asked if I wanted to watch the Bills game, I don't care about the Bills game.
okay, well, great. You can just say that and then move on with your little rant, but you don't have to like ignore what I've said.
13-7, though. I'll tell you that right now. They're winning. I'll keep you updated as we move through.
I have not mentioned this once. I don't know about this at all. I don't care. You're the one that seems to care about not caring.
I blame this one guy who made us read his stupid TV pilot script while we were in Maine.
Okay.
I blame him
Why do you blame him?
because he's one of these people that just talks about his TV pilot nonstop.
Oh, it's probably like a dream or something for him.
No, this
He's
is the guy.
excited.
This is the guy who wrote the play that won the award that inspired my play that I can't really talk about here.
Okay.
Because if I give the idea, somebody else will steal the idea. So I have to keep it secret, play it close to the chest.
Okay.
But it inspired me. Him winning an award inspired me to write a play to try to win the same award, to discredit the award, not for
Okay.
prestige, but to show that the award is bullshit. And within this, he won this award and he got some kind of managers, and now everything is my managers and I are working on this. And I had this script, and my managers read the script and they said, this is an amazing script. And my managers don't get paid unless I get paid. So they're really inspired to go get work for me so that they can make money. And then if they sell this, then I will be a head writer and I will be an executive producer and I will be a creator, and that'll pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And it's not really about the money, but I wouldn't complain about the money. It's like, my fucking God. Let me ask you this. If you were working on a script,
Yeah.
there's a certain set of friends, and I think there's a way to approach this. But
Yeah.
if you were working on a script and you had a script that was done, ready to go, and you were going on a retreat in a cabin with 5 other people, some of whom you knew better than others, but you'd been there for a few years, so you knew these people relatively well.
Yeah.
Are you good friends? I don't know. Would you suggest as an activity that everyone sit around and do a table read of your script?
No. If they wanted to do that, I would be like, oh, okay. Like that might be fun, but I would never suggest it as a activity. It'd be embarrassing.
This is probably going to get me kicked out of the group, but whatever. If I get kicked out of the group for this, then I guess they're not really people I want to hang out with anyway. I like going on this main trip,
Yeah.
but like one of the days I was tired. I took a nap, and then there's a knock at my door. It's like, time to do the table read. I'm like, what the fuck you waking me up to do a thing I don't want to fucking do. And I had to go
What do you
sit
guys
there.
do?
I had to go sit there and fake it. I had to fake. And then, like, here's the thing too. It's like I wrote all these characters and it's based on this person and that person. This character is based on that person and this one. And then I just get like a bunch of fucking side characters. It's like, oh, I'm not interesting enough to write a character about. You based it on all these other people. This is a weird approach, a weird power play that you're doing. I could go around and brag nonstop that I have to do the radio show and that I've got my big TV credit now for sound mixing on a reality show. I don't bring that shit up. I don't bring that up.
Okay, but you're upset that you have to be a part of it, and then you're not given a good role, so you're mad about that. So you do kind of care.
No, no. I think at that point I'm just looking for reasons, and then everything is so. This is amazing. This is great. This is wonderful. And then everyone seemingly has no issue with
Right,
one
you're
of
the only one.
Well, one of the other guys. I don't want to call him out, but you've spoken to him before on last year's podcast. He jumped on for like 5 seconds when we were having technical difficulties.
Okay.
He's the only one who really listens to this podcast that I know of, but
Okay, I remember.
But who knows? Maybe everyone's going to listen to it at this point and they're going to hear this. At some point he brought up the fact that he was a bit annoyed by it. But then every time it would come up, he'd be like so supportive. He's like, that's a great idea. Or tell me more. And I asked him, I was like, why Why do you react
Yeah.
that way if you're
Yeah.
annoyed by this? He's like, well, I just want to keep the peace.
Well, I mean, that's nice. But I mean, there's a difference between doing something to people please someone else and like reading the room. And it's like, well, everyone's into this. Like, I'll try and enjoy it for what it is. I'll still think it's like a little like cringy for us to all do, you know? And like if I were him, I would not enjoy this. But I guess he likes it. And if we're all having fun, like I'll make the best of it. You know, there's that. That could have been an approach.
I agree that there are ways to do it. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I trust all of you. You know, it's hard for me. Well, I guess I don't. This is just me saying what I would say if I were that person.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to share this, but I trust your input, and I like to run through this if you don't mind.
Yeah, that'd be one. That'd be fine. And it's like, hey, we're all stuck here together. Like maybe we could do that. Would you guys be cool with it? But then like to wake you up and be like, oh, Greg's napping. Did he want to participate? I don't really know if he did. It's like, all right, well, let's not wake him up.
It's like, it's time to do this.
Yeah.
Time to do this thing now.
Yeah, that's a little weird. But I can't tell, you know what I mean? Because sometimes your perception of people's behavior is tainted by your own thoughts about how that behavior would be if you did it. And so, like, I don't know whether he was being sort of chill about it
No,
or not, you know?
it
Like,
came
was
up
it, what?
a million times.
Oh,
over
that's
the
right, 'cause he
course-
talked about it a bunch.
over the course of the week.
Yeah.
There would be times there's like a fire outside and people have Bluetooth speakers and,
Uh-huh.
you know, different people get control of the speaker to play the music that they want to play,
Uh-huh.
which is fine. That's nice. And then at some point he gets control of the speaker and he's like, this is the playlist I've put together for music for my show. Jesus Christ. Can you just stop for a second?
Yeah, we're not your mom. Like, we don't care that much. Like, we're happy for you, I guess. But
It's like-
like, if it's all you talk about.
It's like a 90s playlist because it's just a ripoff of Stranger Things. It's
Oh,
like
is it?
Stranger
But
Things is
90s?
a group of kids in the 80s, and this is supernatural happenings in New Jersey in the 90s.
Hmm.
Fuck. Whatever. Fine. So be it. I mean, they'll probably get picked up. And then
Did you do a good job at your part that you're given?
It's like I really didn't want to, but
Yeah.
then I fucking just said, get this over with and
Did you ham it up?
don't make a big deal. No, I just read my roles, did what was expected of me.
Yeah. Then you had to take like a hot shower afterwards. You just felt unclean.
I did just in general. I don't know. I feel a bit of pressure
Yeah.
to conform to the group.
Yeah. I mean, it is a large group of people. You can't, like, if you were the only one that didn't want to do it, you know, then it would be weird for you to be like, almost like pouting by yourself kind of thing. So, yeah, like, don't do that. Just have fun. But yeah, did anybody make fun of him for continuing to like bring it up? Because that's the best type of like dude behavior.
No,
Where it's like your siblings, you know, where you're like, oh, did you do this because you have a pilot or because of your script or whatever? You know what I mean? Like you could rib each other really hard.
I would like to do that, but no. Every time it came up, other people reacted in a way that seemed genuine, like they were interested. Like, there's
Yeah.
no fucking way you can be this interested in this thing.
Yeah, there should have been like ball busting.
I'll
Like
tell you.
that's how I would have felt more loved and supported is like a little ball busting.
I'll tell you what else happened. There was a Game Boy, and
Oh.
there was Tetris on the Game Boy, and the same guy who wrote the script like got the high score and like
Uh-huh.
got the top 3 high scores, and his name was in there, and you could tell that he really liked the fact that he had the high scores,
Mm-hmm.
but he was approaching it in a way that's like, no, I'm just we're just here to have fun. Like, I hope you beat my high scores. And at some point, I was trying to beat the high scores, and I got the third best score. And you know, he still had the top 2 scores, but I got the third best, and I was like, all right, that's a start. I'm gonna beat these scores.
Okay.
And then I like hid the Game Boy because because he started looking. I knew he was going to start looking for it.
Yeah, to make sure like to increase his score so you couldn't get it.
Yeah, so he can knock me off at third place, even though it
Oh,
was
okay.
like we're just in this together. Because at one point, the other guy who was annoyed with him said something about how we were going to beat his scores, and then he It's weird not using people's names. I feel like I should just use names to keep
Well,
things.
just change it like to something similar, but not their name. Like if his name's Josh, name him Jeremy or something.
Well, like yeah, Jake. That's my go-to fake name. Jake
Okay.
can be the pilot writer,
Okay.
and Puke can be the other guy. It rhymes with his actual name. He'll probably hate me
Wait,
for saying that.
but then that's mean. You should make the other guy puke because you're annoyed with him. Don't make your friend your like beloved fake name.
Okay, Jake is the guy who's annoyed with him,
Yeah. Jake
And,
is your friend and puke is
and Splat.
okay.
Splat. So Jake at some point is bringing up the high score thing and how we're going to break the record. And oh no, here's what he said. He said, I was going through edit mode and I was looking for ways that you could have like modified this without actually getting the high score. And Splat got really offended by that, like more offended than you should. He's like, oh yeah,
What?
because it can't be that I'm good at the game, that I may be the best person here at the game and I had to cheat, right? It couldn't just be that I'm really good at the game. So he got really offended by it. And that was followed up by, but you shouldn't care because it's not about getting the high score. It's just about having a good time. It's like, sure. So when I got the third highest score, I hid the Game Boy under a pillow on my bed. And then I went in to take another nap and I moved the Game Boy to the nightstand next to the bed.
Yeah.
And I was bunking with Splat in the same room. It wasn't a bunk bed.
Oh man, you were in the same room with Splat?
Yeah. So he came in at some point and I heard him come in, but I pretended to be asleep still. And I thought he's going to grab that fucking Game Boy. I know he's going to grab that Game Boy. And sure enough, when he left the room, I heard him like get quiet and kind of like be tiptoey.
Yeah.
And then I opened my eyes and the Game Boy was gone. And of course, then he beat the third highest score and knocked me off the leaderboard. And so there was that going on too.
Okay. Wow. This is a strange. I feel like I need like one of those like red line, like those I don't know, those like murder sort of like this is where the serial killer might go next, you know? Like these pinpoints just from your personalities, you know? Where he's like he doesn't care about Tetris, but actually is like very invested in Tetris. You, I don't think would have such a big sort of response to it unless he had the big response to it. And now you have to like come at him and also put on top of it his bragging about his show that, I mean, in a way, like should be celebrated and should be bragged about. Like that's a big deal, I guess. Right. And he's very excited. But the fact that he had no humility about it, right? Like that made you upset. And so, and then maybe too that you felt like no one else was on your side and you were like, am I the only one that's seeing this? Did you feel like that?
Well, yeah. So that dynamic always exists because I got invited to the group. That was the fourth time I went to Maine, and the people who've been going the longest, like that was their 9th year. So, they've been 5 more times, and there was some people who went early on that weren't invited back. Clearly, people like me, I guess. I've been invited back, but there's still this idea. It's like I could be kicked out. Like what if I don't live up to the expectations here?
But no, the people that were there early on and aren't back, like could it just be like they just can't go anymore? It wasn't necessarily that they were kicked out.
It could be both.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a straight up kicking out, but I think there is
I know. Why is this main thing so coveted? What do you guys do?
I think there's a critique of people. And it's like, do they fit the vibe of the group? And, for the most part, I like to have time alone and I don't want to fucking talk all the time.
Yeah.
And no one's forcing me to talk. And this is the part that lives in my head. But then I start to feel, am I living up to the expectations? Everyone's just sitting out there talking and all they do is fucking talk, and they talk and talk and talk. And I don't want to continue to talk. I need to disappear for a bit. And, there's another guy who's kind of like that, but he's one of the originals. And
not Jake.
No, that's a third guy. Jake's one of the originals too, but I just think it's funny I'm not using his real name. People could figure out it rhymes with puke. which I'm sorry if you're listening to this, since you're the only one who I think listens to this podcast.
Well, he knows that you don't mean to be calling him Puke. You were just trying to think of a pseudonym.
I know. And then here's the other thing. Last year, just very organically, this is the last trip. So not this past trip that just ended to Maine. Last year's trip, there was this big snowstorm and the owner said, we're going to send a snowplow in to clear the driveway. And I just had this fantasy of the guy driving the snowplow being a murderer. Because we're in the middle of nowhere and he could just show up and he could kill us and nobody would probably know. And I expressed that idea. And then it became this collaborative thing where we all kind of created this horror movie idea.
Yeah.
Called Plow Kill. And that turned into a thing where it's like, well, let's do something like that again this year. And it's like, oh, well, it was organic last year. If you want to make it more structured and make it one of the things that we do, I guess that could be okay. And then Splat, just because he's the writer of the group, he fancies himself the writer. He's like, it's going to be killer trees this year. The trees are going to kill everyone. And like, that was it. That was the plot. It's like nobody had any room to throw in anything else.
Why is everybody, it seems like people really respect this Splat.
And he's only been there 3 years. I have seniority over him.
Why this is what I don't understand, that there's like no ball busting seemingly.
Well, like there's
all these dudes together.
You ask what we do, and like there's a game called Zombicide that we play, which is like a board game role playing type of game.
Yeah.
One of the guys really, like, you can pick any character you want. He'll create the character's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
For example, the Phantom from Phantom of the Opera was a character I played once. And then I played Bill the Butcher from that Leo DiCaprio New York Gangs of New York movie.
Oh, okay.
And the mom from The Goonies and Dave from Space Odyssey. These are all characters I said, I'll play as this. And like, he'll create like backgrounds and.
Oh yeah. So what is that, like D&D, right?
Yeah, except there's also just like an official board. But yes, it's similar. And there's objectives that you can create. You can make the game whatever you want.
That's fun. So like but you're fighting zombies?
Yeah, you're fighting zombies and you're supposed to work together, but also, depending on what your character is or what
How did the Phantom do it? Did he have his magical lasso?
As Phantom, some of the powers were opening. So the board itself has outdoor and indoor areas, and you can designate any building as your opera house. And when you're in there, you have even more powers. Like you can move more spaces per turn, and you can become stronger, and you can
cool.
You can move anyone or any zombie from any room in that building to any other room in the building. And then for the most part, you're like kind of quiet. So if zombies are attacking, they can miss you, and you can move through zones that have zombies without being attacked because you're the Phantom.
Yeah, I got it.
So cool. it was good. It was fun. But the game itself you're at least trying to problem solve and think ahead and talk about, well, I can do this if you get back to me, and your character has this ability, so maybe you should do this. And things can get not like heated, but like you're having discussions about what's best.
Yeah, no.
And then that turned into, at some point, it's like someone getting stressed out because we weren't just getting along. It's like, well, this is weird. Why do people just need to get along constantly? Conflict's a real thing that exists, especially when you're one, playing a game, two,
playing a game,
hold up with the same people for 8 nights. It's okay. Like if you're an asshole about conflict and you scream at someone or you take it too far, it's like, that's not good for anyone. But it's like, if you have some conflict and it doesn't mean anything when it's all said and done, who cares?
Gosh, so I don't mean to be like, I don't mean to be like judgmental or like stereotypical, but for a bunch of dudes getting upset that there's conflict, like pussies, like
it's a fair assessment.
Like, what are you talking about? Let the dudes argue. Guys are it's so much easier for guys to argue because you argue and then it's over, and it's over a game. So people are getting like heated and crazy about the game. It's not like personal.
But it became personal because at one point, playing as Phantom,
Yeah.
I was in a zone where some zombies were attacking with a couple of the other players, including Splat. And one of the players had more like strength and could take a hit.
Okay.
Could take more hits than Splat could.
Okay.
And it was going to be this thing where, okay, well, either I take a hit or because I can sneak out of zones that have zombies in them.
Oh, you would like help people sneak out?
No, I could sneak out and not get hit. And
Okay.
and my idea was, okay, well, it's going to come down to Splat and the other guy who has like more armor. And there's a chance Splat gets hit because they had to roll some dice to see who gets hit.
Sure,
But
yeah.
also there's a chance that the guy who's stronger gets hit. And so I left the zone. And so I abandoned them in the zone. And
Oh.
Splat ended up getting hit. And he got like really angry about it, like annoyed. You could tell.
Because you left him.
Yeah, because I left him and he took a hit. It didn't kill him.
Okay.
Didn't kill him. He was still in the game.
Yeah.
But
But it's a collaborative game. You're supposed to help me.
it was a strange reaction. I didn't know what to make of it, really. I was like, okay, weird. This is kind of like the Tetris thing, but reversed.
Yeah. What's up with Splat?
Actually, it's not. I guess it wasn't reversed. The Tetris thing was, no, we're just playing this for fun. The high scores don't matter.
Right.
And
yeah,
the
but it
game
really
was,
did matter.
And the
Yeah.
game was, we're supposed to support each other. It's just for fun. It's like, no. It's like, you just don't like the fact that I left you to get hit. It's like, how dare you leave me? Or how dare you beat my high score? Man, I'm really putting this out there. When we publish this episode, it's going to put me
is
at
this
risk.
a little scary?
It could be, but really.
Well, is anything that you've said anything you wouldn't say to them?
I think
Like
when you
if approached, you know?
I think when you don't present things, then people like you were harboring these feelings the whole time and you didn't say anything.
Well, yeah, because you're not trying to like cause a fight or a problem when you're all stuck together for 8 nights, you said.
Well, look, at the end of the day, I just interacted the way I needed to interact. I was like, I'm not going to put myself outside of like some group activities. It's like, okay, I'll do this, the script reading because that's what everyone else is doing. But for the most part, if it was a conversation I didn't like because it became about the script again, I just leave. I just go do my own thing.
Right. And you're allowed to have thoughts about that and feelings about that.
Yeah. And so I didn't really feel like I was harboring much because I just removed myself and did the things that I wanted to do. And so in the moment, it didn't feel pressing to bring everything up. But I realize now as I spew it all out, it's like clearly.
It's bothering you. It would bother me too. I mean, that's annoying. And the fact that it seems like nobody else was on board, it's like, oh, am I an asshole? Or am I judgy? Am I
Which, yes.
Am I secretly well, yeah.
Yes,
not judgmental.
to those two things.
Okay. But
I'm judgmental. I'm not saying that I'm right, but I am saying that I'm right. Okay. You know, that's what I'm saying. When I judge people, I think that the basis
we all feel like we're right.
Well, I think the basis of the judgment is lack of self-awareness, no humility. That's worth judging a person over. I can't see how anyone could really defend that. Like, no, you're wrong. It's nice that a person only thinks about themselves.
Okay, but if you place it that, I'm just playing devil's advocate because I kind of agree with you. But, gosh, if someone's excited about their thing, you know, then it's kind of nice. It's like, oh wow, you must be so excited. Oh, you know what it is too? Maybe it feels inauthentic because he just keeps bringing it up instead of saying like, and like including it and making sure that people know about it instead of like just being, oh my gosh, you guys, I just keep thinking about how my script got whatever. And I'm just so excited, you know? And then people are like, oh yeah, that's so cool. You know? And then you could say, I have a playlist. It's from my movie or it's from my show that I made. It's like, oh, cool. Instead of it being like, yeah, it's from the show that I made. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's a vibe that you can give out and an energy. And for you, it felt like someone who was overly proud, maybe, of what it is.
Yeah, I just feel like there should be humility with things and awareness. It's like, hey, I'm working on this. Yes, it's exciting to me. Hey,
Yeah.
I trust your input. I'd like to share it with you. I hope it's not, I understand if it's not something people want to do here. And even if we did the script reading, like to me, that would be it then. I wouldn't, then everything would be revolved
Yeah.
around the script.
I wonder though, like, and again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. So if the way that you think it should have done, the way that he should have behaved that's just the way that you think it should have been done. There's not like I mean, of course, there's probably like within the range of normal, right? There are wrong ways to behave about something. But just because he didn't do it the way that you thought he should or the way that you would if it were you, doesn't mean that he was an asshole.
True. It's hard for me to really fully understand because one of the things we do is watch a movie every night. Like one of the guys curates a list of movies, and to
what'd you watch?
To everyone else, it's a surprise.
Okay, that's exciting.
And at some point, I got pulled into that. Like I was trusted to help curate the movies.
Okay.
And then Splat, like this past year, went to see a movie with the guy who curates the movies. And then the next time I saw him before Maine, he's like, I went to see a movie with so-and-so, and we started discussing if it was going to be a Maine movie. Like he had to put it out there that he was now part of the discussion for the movies. So to me, that's another thing. It's like, what? Okay. Like I don't necessarily feel special. Like I'm glad that he trusts me to bounce movie ideas off of me, but I also don't think it really means much in the scheme of my life. It's
it doesn't.
It's like, okay, I'm glad you feel that way, but also my value and worth is not based on if I'm a trusted source. And seemingly to you, it means a lot more. It's so much so that you needed to tell me that you were now having those discussions. It's like, okay, good.
I thought you were going to say that he was like, and we just didn't think that we kind of made the list together and we don't really have any more room on the list for anything. So,
well, it was just like, I'm part of this now too.
Yeah.
See, I'm part of it. And it's like, okay.
See, now if he came to you and was like, hey, I was with the guy and like, we came, I'm a part of the thing that like, we can all come together. We could do it together. We could talk about the movies, but instead it was like, I'm a part of this.
Here's what gets me. It's always presented that can be, I didn't mean that when I brought it up. It was just meant to be.
Yeah.
It's like, you did, and you just didn't say it clearly. So you can fall back on this. What? Why are you reacting this way? It's fucking weird. That's what I think I don't like is there's a trap being laid.
Oh, that's gaslighting.
Well, to an extent, because yes, he's gaslighting because he's telling me that my perception is wrong but I'm also not going to believe him.
Right.
So he's attempting.
Yeah.
He would attempt. And then the other part of the movies is every time we watch a movie when it was over, it's like, I really like that about this movie. I really need to find a way to work something like that into my script.
Oh, fuck off. Ew.
So then immediately it became about the script again.
Yeah. So you don't even get to talk about the movie as much because now we're talking about his thing.
So, but...
Does he have a wife or a girlfriend or anything?
No.
Oh, no wonder.
No. If you really want to psychoanalyze, no. I'm not bringing up anything that's so personal that hasn't been put out there. So the play that won the award was about a hoarding mother. So that the set was the house, and it was this mom.
Right. I remember you telling me.
Who was a hoarder, and the kids having to deal with that. And, it's like
based on a true story.
Yeah. So you can have a heyday, a field day with the lack of love from mom.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to go down
and
that
then path. Yes. Physical security, emotional security.
You write a script about a guy.
Oh my God, yeah.
Who had a hoarding mother.
who got a little taste of success.
And still doesn't buy the love of the mom.
Yeah. Oh, nothing will. No amount of Cabin with Dudes and script table reads will ever get you to a place where your mom cared more about her physical trash than you. That was harsh. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's funny. In real life, it's not funny. Like it's
not funny in real
it's
life.
a thing that people deal with that's
Absolutely.
hard. So despite this knowledge and knowing a lot of the behavior can stem from that,
Those are my piss bottles. Don't touch them.
It doesn't make it any easier.
There's rat poop in that, but it's fine. That's for real. Those people really are like, it's fine. I'll just rinse it.
In general, everyone has certain levels of shit they dealt with in their life.
Oh, of course.
Some people have dealt with a lot more than others.
Yes.
But it seems like people go to therapy just to justify their behaviors. Well, I'm this way because these things happened. There is a truth that at some point you gotta fucking get past it. It doesn't mean you get over it and pretend things didn't happen, but you have to fucking get past it. And it can't just continue to be, well, I act this way or I am this way because I dealt with this awful thing. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. I think people have to, I mean, hopefully if you are a growing person, then you can be in that space for a time, right? Like you might need to live there and feel comfort and say like, hey, this is me. I am this way because of these things that were outside of my control as a child. And you find some like comfort in not beating yourself up for being this thing that is maybe harsh or abrasive or whatever. But at some point, like you said, you do have to say like, okay, but let me look at how this behavior is affecting my life. I've sat with this for a while and I know now that it's not my fault, but it's making relationships difficult, you know, family, friends, romantic relationships. And so what do I need to do to change that so that my personality is working better for me? But if you don't do that, right? Because it's probably because change is so hard. So people don't want to do that. So it probably feels real good to just sit back in that place of this is just who I am. And there was nothing I could do about it.
And I have a good reason for being this way.
Right. Oh, I have a good reason.
Are you going to attack me for that? You're going to be an asshole and come after me for this terrible thing I had to deal with?
Like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to be there for you, but you're fucking annoying now. And I can't be there for that because I'm annoyed. I'm not your mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real interesting. All this person, and not this person splat, but just this person in general that we're talking about, this sort of figure that we're creating. This person wants the love of a parent. They probably would not be able to accept the love that someone would give them like a parent, like an unconditional love, because that's too scary. It's too intimate. It's foreign. Doesn't feel right. So especially staying in this place of like keeping people at a distance, you know, and like that probably feels better.
What do you mean? It feels better?
It probably feels better because they don't actually have to go deep with anybody. They don't.
Are they keeping people at a distance though? Like I think they think that they are bringing people close and fostering an environment where things are being shared.
Right, but I don't think. But it's not real, right? Like, do you think it's real the stuff that he has?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
That's
the point. Him bringing up the script all the time, right? That's a way to say, like, I need to be recognized. I need to be seen. I need to be pet and said I did a good job. And aren't I interesting? And aren't I good? And aren't I smart? And aren't I brilliant at this thing? Instead of just letting it come to them. Right? They have to make sure that they try and get it from you. If you tried to actually be there for them without them sort of controlling it, then maybe it would be a freak out. Like it wouldn't be right. You know, it wouldn't be comfortable. That's not what they would want.
Yeah.
Because it's out of their control.
Oh, excuse me. I have to disappear for 30 minutes. I have a meeting with my managers. That happened. You know,
okay.
People think that I'm.
That's when someone should be like, "Oh, I have a meeting with my managers. You fucking big shot. Go on." You know what I mean? Like a little tease.
Yeah, and you know,
nobody did that. That's
the radio
weird.
stuff. I'm somewhat private,
Yeah.
People say I'm secretive. I'm like, I'm not secretive. None of the shit I do is secret. You could go online, search my name, but you're so fucking self-absorbed you would never search someone else's name. And all the stuff I do is there. Everything is out in the open. But when I talk about the radio show, I don't really talk it up. I just say, my friend has a show in Atlanta. I join it. If people want to think it's a podcast or it's like some small radio thing, that's on them. I don't feel a need to say it's on a real station and, it reaches the city. It's broadcast radio. I also don't think it's that big of a thing. I think it's cool that we have all been able to do this, but in my mind, it's not like it's this huge thing that has defined my life and somehow sets me apart from other people.
You have other shit going on that you're prouder of, that you have put more effort into. So it isn't the biggest thing for you.
And quite often when people finally do, like even Howard, I've done the radio show from his house before, but I've never really explained what it was. And the one night he decided to look it up and like, he was shocked. He's like, this is like a real radio show. I was like, yeah, I never said it wasn't. I did tell you it was.
Howard didn't know that? That's hilarious.
I don't know what he thought it was.
Yeah.
But
these kids and their pod beans or whatever they're doing.
That pops up quite often.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is there is this fear. I mean, that is who I am, and I'm not going to make a big deal about it anyway. But being in that cabin, I do still do the show while I'm there. And there is an idea. It's like, man, I do the show a few times while we're here. That in itself, I'm surprised it hasn't opened the door to people giving me shit. Oh, got to go do the radio show now.
Yeah. Well, nobody does that with this group. Everyone's very supportive, I guess.
Apparently it doesn't happen. So even if I did make a big deal about it.
Yeah. They'd be like, wow, dude, go for it.
I have to go join a radio show now that's live on the air and it reaches, in any given time, there's like 650,000 people.
Yeah, so it can be pretty daunting,
Yeah, that's like, look at any football stadium. That's like 7 of those football stadiums listening to me at any given time.
And aren't we jerks for making fun of the people that are at the cabin being like, oh, cool, dude, like, go off. Like, they should be giving you shit.
And there should be a level of it. Look, there is people who give shit just for the sake of giving shit, and that can be just as annoying. It's like,
and that could be just as like, oh, you think you're better than me because I feel like worse. I don't like myself. There's that. But then there's also like just giving shit. That's how you like connect with people.
If I presented it like the show is this big thing, it's like, I'm sorry, I have to leave the group now because I have this thing I've got to do and it's so awesome and amazing. Then people should give me shit, but I don't present it that way.
Yeah.
So no shit was given anyway. But I at the end of the day, there's the fear in me is that people love Splat.
Yeah.
Like he has these conversations and then he talks about how he's been texting with some of the people who live across the country over the course of the year and he stays close to them. And it's like, I don't talk to those people. And maybe I should. Maybe people think it's weird. But I'm there to hang out in a way that works for me. That was how it was originally sold to me. And no one's trying, at least forcefully, to make it something different. But it's like, go to Maine and you want to read a book, you want to hang out, do whatever you want to do. It's like, all right, well, this is what I want to do. I don't want to be around people constantly. And when you're in a cabin, that's somewhat difficult to do. So the moments I can see
That's a long time. That's 8 nights. It's a long time.
It did fly by, though. It always flies by.
Yeah.
It is a long time, though. You're right.
Yeah. So it makes sense that there can be. And listen, if they want you to be there because you are who you are, then you should continue to be who you are. And if they don't, then they don't. Like, that's on them. You shouldn't have to flex, be any different just because like Splat is making you feel like you don't keep up with people.
Which I know he's not purposefully trying to do. It's just a product of how that guy carries himself. And me comparing how I carry myself. But my God, it's a lot.
Are you close to anybody that you could be like, hey, did you get the vibe from Splat that like this was what he was doing? And
yeah,
do you ever feel like that?
I talked to Jake about that.
Okay.
I sent screenshots to him last night of me talking to Google's AI chat bot. the screenshot says, you can't see the full prompt I put in, but here's what it says before it cuts it off.
Yeah.
Every year, a group of us go stay in a cabin in Maine. 6 people to be exact. One of the guys talks, ... And then it says, it sounds like your friend is exhibiting some classic signs of narcissism.
Oh,
And then anxiety, and then social awkwardness.
yeah.
Why does he act like this? Lack of self-awareness, need for validation. all the
Need for
shit.
validation.
Fear of failure. Even if he's successful, why can't he act normally? Habitual behavior, continued need for validation. What can you do? Direct but gentle feedback. Change the subject. Limit your exposure. The final thing was that was my choice. Limit my exposure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I sent that, and then I sent another one. I said, who would ever ask a group of people who had no real interest to do a table read of your script in a captive environment that has nothing to do with TV writing? No, I said, would you ever asking, not who would. I said, would you ever ask a group? So I'm asking the AI chatbot this. And its response was, no, I wouldn't.
But to him, right, they did express interest in it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there were other
Yeah,
people who
so-
kind of set it in motion. Like, all right, it's time to do this thing.
Yeah.
But I sent those screenshots to the one
Right.
guy, and he responded with, AI scares the shit out of me, but can't argue with these search results.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe he'll sell me out. He's the only one who listens to the podcast. I know I've said it several times. That's why the anxiety lives in my head.
No, I understand. I mean, listen, even if anybody does listen, like, you are allowed to have feelings about how other people behave. You didn't do anything to that person to like shame them or to make them feel less than. You removed yourself. You even like sought help to like, what should you do? You know, like what are the reasons why someone is doing this? You tried to understand it, and then you tried to do something about it that was non-confrontational. So like, you know, it's fine. That person can have their feelings hurt, but it has nothing to do with like, you didn't do anything to them. You just don't prefer their actions or their behavior. And that's on them if they feel shitty about that. And not to say, not like in a bad way, just like, oh, it's on your fault. It's not your fault. It's just, you know, however someone feels about you, that can hurt your feelings, but that person, if they're not doing anything to you, then it's not that person's fault to deal with. It's not that person's like job to deal with your feelings.
True. I did feel guilty at one point though, because in the bedroom I put on the Netflix Jerry Springer documentary series, which by the way, it's 2 episodes. Just make one fucking documentary.
Ugh, I know. Yeah.
I get why they do the docu-series with 6 episodes. It's a lot of content and they want to stretch it out and get more, time viewing.
Especially if there is a lot of content.
Well,
Like,
the
I get
Mr.
it.
McMahon one, the wrestling one, that's 6 ep, but there's a lot to go through. So that makes sense. But the Jerry Springer one, it's 2 episodes. Like you could have made this into one documentary. There's no reason for it to be 2 episodes. Anyway, I put that on at one point, and Splat came in and like reacted in a way. It's like, ugh, I can't believe you would watch something like this. Not highbrow enough.
What?
Yeah, not weird stuff instead
What?
of strange.
We all watch everything from like garbage to something extremely interesting or something challenging or something dark, something like we all do that.
Yeah, that could have been in my head too. Maybe his reaction wasn't necessarily
Oh,
that.
that's true.
But I don't know. It came off that way.
Maybe you
And-
thought you were just literally watching Jerry Springer.
Well, whatever. I was like, oh, sorry, this isn't an episode of Weird Stuff, the ripoff show of Stranger Things. Like, what? We should look up a thesaurus. What would be a good name for a show that's a ripoff of Stranger Things?
Oh, yeah. Oddities.
All right, so strange, unusual, odd, curious, peculiar. And
Okay.
then
What about things?
objects,
Things is
articles, items, artifacts, commodities. Peculiar items. Huh? It's the name of my show, Peculiar Items.
Peculiar items.
It's set in the 90s.
That's the beginning where everything's like kind of cool. Or you're like meeting all the characters, get to know everything before things get like dark. Sky was gold. Walking down the hallway in high school. Got a Coke can.
I can't say I know for sure, but I feel like that song was on a playlist.
Oh, for sure it was.
Entities, tools, utensils, instruments. Is there other synonyms for things? Whatever. I guess I'm.
Well, did you have a good time?
I guess I'm the asshole.
Nah.
Yes. Look, I still enjoy it. I think this year was the biggest test. It wasn't necessarily like this in other years. So, just it was a bit of a test.
How do you think you did? Like, who's the test for? Yourself?
Yeah, it was like a personal test. I was like,
okay.
Can I find a way to make this enjoyable with this stuff going on? That's driving me absolutely insane that nobody else seems to fucking understand.
Yeah. Gosh, were you looking at people like trying to catch someone's eye like, right?
Yeah, but it seemed like if I said it, like, you're an asshole. Why would you react like that?
No one said that. You didn't do that.
No, but that's what it felt like the reaction would be.
Yeah. Gosh, that's tough. That's hard. I mean, listen, I suppress, not this past week as much on the show, but before, like, especially on the radio show, lots of suppressing, like my urge to speak, thoughts, opinions, whatever. So it really is hard when you want to say something and you feel like you can't. So that's a really hard feeling. And then you're like stuck there.
Yeah, but you've become much bolder. Like when you asked me if I wanted to reschedule for the Bills game and I didn't answer, and like, I asked you a question.
Well, it was just twice that you didn't answer me.
I have a real issue answering questions I don't find to be like important.
Well, they're important to the person asking.
I guess, but it's like, even if I wanted to watch the Bills game, it's like, it doesn't matter if I want to. I'm here. I'm going to do this thing.
Right. Well, that's fine. You can explain that, but someone's allowed to ask, I
have a hard time answering small questions sometimes. 28-7, by the way. Bills are winning. You're going to have a nice day on the show tomorrow.
Man.
You're going to have a fun time. So what, you have a group of friends where everyone gets along and everyone listens to each other and actually there's a real back and forth.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't have a group of friends.
I
have Anna and Michelle. They live in Georgia and Tennessee, respectively.
No, I thought there was a group of friends.
I have my friend Susanna. And that's it.
No, what happened to the other people that were involved in that group?
Oh, well, they were, part of like the French group, like part of Alex and Nico and Gray. And I got kind of dropped from them, which is fine. I didn't really feel like Gray was totally my friend.
That's shitty, though.
Oh, yeah. It felt really shitty. I was real alone for a while. I just had Susanna. And then I was just like alone. And that was a bummer. But it was good because then it like kind of forced me to be alone and face some things and face some feelings that I was avoiding by going out all the time or like constantly having a boyfriend. So it was good. It was a good thing.
Yeah, it's still to drop a person.
Yeah, that was shitty. But I mean, it's better because it turned out better for me.
It's like,
and it was the right move. Like it was fine. Either, I would have maybe had to drop them if they had stayed with me, and that may have been harder for me to do. But
it makes me think of my freshman year in college when I was friends with like a few guys, and then they became a part of a fraternity. And then they were still friends with me, but they put a bid on me to rush the fraternity.
Uh-huh.
And like there was this big gathering one night. They were really excited because they had put the bid and the bid had been accepted and I could rush. And I said, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to be a part of a fraternity. It's like a bid, like an old piece of antique furniture at an auction.
Yeah, what does that mean exactly? The bid. What does that look like? Is it a literal like money bid?
No, but it's like, hey, I recommend this person to be part of the fraternity.
Oh, like a vouch.
Yeah. And after I said no, that was that. It's like, oh, so there's like, yeah, the friendships were over. It's like, oh, so there was no foundation of anything other than if we don't all agree to do the same stupid fucking thing and I don't pledge loyalty to some dumb entity at a school like Georgia State that doesn't even really have.
For real.
Not that I ever would have wanted to live in a fraternity house. Like, my God, it just seems like it would be one of the most annoying things that you could ever do is to be around that constantly. Even when I was in college, when I was more open to being social and loud and stuff, that still wasn't appealing. Like, one of the reasons I chose Georgia State, for God's sake, is because the dorm rooms were singles and I didn't have to share the room. That was like a major part of the decision.
Yeah.
The other part was I wanted to be in the city so I could start working in radio. But when the decision is, oh, I don't need to share an actual room, like you shared a common space with 3 other bedrooms, but like your room was your room. It's like, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Especially if you think about like what people at UGA, I don't know if those dorms are still like that, but they have been the same since, like when I saw them back in the early 2000s, like that's what they were, the same since like the 40s or whatever the fuck. Like they were tiny little rooms and you shared it with a stranger and you had to walk down the hall to the bathroom.
Yeah. I think
you had a hot plate, you know?
I think that's pretty common. Like maybe some dorm rooms had the bathroom in there, but I do think that like there were a toilet at least and showers were shared. I guess there are various kinds because even at Georgia State.
I guess that's good though. If you're taking like a doo-doo and like you've got a roommate that you don't know and you stink it up and then you're like right in that same room, that's really embarrassing. You're like in prison at that point.
Well, Georgia State, so again, was the Olympic Village at the time.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech now has those as their dorms. There were 4 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, so you only shared it with one other person.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
But yes, we all knew people who went to colleges where they had to share the room. I was like, God, no.
Yeah, no.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like there was one night I went to visit one of my friends in the college he was going to, and his roommate was out of town, so I slept in the roommate's bunk, like on the top.
Okay. Yeah.
And he brought somebody back that night, and they started making out. I had the TV on, and through their making out, they knocked the plug out, so the TV turned off. And then they had sex, and I had to listen to it. And when I talked to him the next day, he's like, "Oh, I thought that you turned off the TV and you were going to sleep." It's like, even if that were the case, you didn't give me enough time to fucking go to sleep. Like, you
really? They started like boning.
Yeah, it's like I just had to lay there. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I had a friend that went to UGA and I was sleeping on her floor and her boyfriend were starting to like get it on. And I was like, stop. Like, no.
It's also the fact they don't care.
Yeah, they didn't care. They're just horny.
Like, yeah, there's someone else in the room. Who cares?
You're like, well, be quiet. No one will know. It's like, no, we all know. We all know exactly what's happening up there with your moving and your shuffling and your moaning and your breathing.
And even if you had a system in place, like the dumb sock on a door or whatever, I would be so fucking annoyed to get home. And it's like, I can't go in.
Now I just have to like sit in the hall and wait for your dumbass girlfriend to leave the... Hi, Greg. Sorry. It's all right, Stephanie.
It all sounded so fucking miserable.
Yeah. But that's where the memories are made.
I have to say that like one of the biggest stress points in going to Maine was having to share a room with a person. My God, I don't want to share a room. The first year I went, I didn't have to because one of the people who previously went didn't go for the first year and they didn't fill the spot. And I got the room to myself. I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Then the next year is like, you have to share. Fuck, I don't want to fucking share a room. It's like when I travel with my friends, like, we'll save money, get it. No, it's like, no, we're 40 something. We're going to get our own hotel rooms and have our own space.
Yeah. I thought something, Joe took me to see some music and we had a seat and he was like, yeah, we're too old to be like standing for that long. I was like, cool. Hell yeah.
Did other people?
I don't want to stand.
Did other people stand? What was the show?
Oh, we were up in a balcony, but there was like down on the floor, you would be standing. And then if you went up into this like VIP, if you got the VIP tickets, then
you'd sit.
You'd have like a little seat up in the balcony. So we got to sit. And I was like, hell yeah.
I mean, there is something weird about music when people are just sitting. Depending on
we stood like to dance and stuff, but like being able to have a seat is really nice.
No, I agree.
And not be like squished in with the sweaty commoners down below.
The general admission.
The steerage.
Where people get there late and have no qualms about pushing through. And like the tallest person in the fucking world pushes to the front and blocks it. I was like, are you kidding me? Before we wrap up, I think I told you when I went to Dublin, we went to see a show, and it was like, I can't remember the name of the guys. It was like old men rapping, like people in their 70s. That was the
Run DMC.
No, that was we're at the point where people who actually were rappers when they were younger. No, it was like two British grandpas who got into rap music and like Phineas and Phoebe or something. It's not but that's the name of the group, something similar to that. That's not what it is. So at some point it sold out, and this guy who's really fucking drunk and taller than us gets in front of us, just pushes his way through, and then he's dancing, he's running into people. He's one of those people that everyone gives a dirty look to. Yeah. And I made it my mission to either steal his phone or his wallet and smash the phone and ditch the wallet. And like the phone was hanging out of his front pocket, and I almost had it. I almost fucking had it. But it was in there a little too tight. And then his wallet was in his back pocket. And I waited for like some other person to push through the crowd.
Yeah. To like bump into him so that you could.
Yeah. So I like
pickpocket.
I grabbed the wallet and I started pulling it up, but his hand came back because he felt it because his pants were too fucking tight. Oh, okay. And he didn't, because it was just confusion. I think he thought it was the person who was
bumping into him.
Yeah, because he just stared at them and had no clue it was me. But man, if I could, I really wanted the phone because I just wanted to take the phone, throw it on the ground, and smash it with my foot because he was such an asshole.
Man,
that's the way I like to.
Would
get
you have
people
felt
back.
Good about that?
Yeah, I would have felt
at
great.
The end.
I would have felt amazing. I would have probably. You want to talk about not having humility? I would have talked about it the rest of the trip. I was like, remember that time that asshole came up and I was able to steal his phone and then I smashed it on the ground. Like that was fucking awesome. Why, you would feel bad?
Yeah, I would feel terrible.
Why?
Because it's like people are assholes and you have to deal with them.
Yeah, that's how I was going to deal with them.
But and speaking to them maybe is a way to do it, but destroying their property.
Somebody tried to speak to him. I should put that, and he just got in their face.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, just watch it. And then
no, there's like you're like trying to be like a vigilante.
He bowed up.
He bowed up. You bowed up. You gonna bow up, sonny boy?
Well, we live in a world where anything that you say to a person, you're like, hey, your behavior is like making things more difficult. Fuck you. I'll live the way I want. It's like, okay, well, how can I get you back? Smash your fucking phone.
Yeah. In a way, I would be like happy that you did that, but I also think it's the wrong thing to do.
It's like when I used to spit on people's backs who would do the same thing.
See, that's what I mean.
People wonder how I haven't gotten my ass kicked. I wonder the same thing, I guess.
Yeah. Just luck so far.
There is a level. I mean, there's always somebody who's going to kick your ass. But there is a level of an instance like that, if you own up to it and you...
Oh, like if you get caught, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, the phone's going to be a different thing. Like a guy's probably going to kick your ass if he catches you. But like...
Yeah.
The spitting... I think one person caught me once. And I just stared at them and I didn't say anything and they didn't do anything.
How did they catch you? They must have just suspected something happened, didn't know exactly what.
Yeah, that's true. But somehow they knew something.
They knew something. They're like, what are you up to, dude? And then he stares at me. Something. Yeah, it's like I was going to like confront this thing that I'm pissed about, but then he's staring at me. I don't know.
Like I didn't engage and yell or even answer.
Yeah. Well,
I just stared.
The silence is the way to do it. The playground of the psychological can be, way more terrifying than the physical.
Exactly. But you're also opening yourself up at that point. Like if he wanted to pull back and smash my face with his fist, he could have.
Oh, yeah. You got to be ready for that, I guess.
I kind of was. I kind of was.
Yeah.
Like my plan is, and I know that this is easier said than done because if you get hit in the face, it actually fucking hurts. And depending on where you get hit, you can be knocked out. But my plan always is in my brain, I'll just take the punch and I'll continue to stare.
Oh,
Which good
no
luck.
power.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you'd be like, ow. And then you can go back. You're like, back to it.
Is that really going to happen? Probably not.
Probably not.
But it's a nice fantasy.
Sure.
So anyway, all right. I dominated this conversation. I'm having
that was
second
good.
thoughts about publishing the episode, but I'll still
I
publish.
know. It's scary. I get it. Yeah. I don't know how to help,
You can't.
relieve your anxiety. It
You
sucks.
can't. I'm going to have to just publish it and hope for the best.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend. Sorry we're so late in posting, but whatever. Love you.
Yeah,
Bye.
I was out of town.